You can tell a lot about a school based on the numbers. The graphs, the charts, the data, they all give some kind of narrative about a school community. Numbers and spreadsheets are fine for the reports and the accountability and the records, but they don't capture the actual energy of what's happening in our schools. They don't show the grit, the imagination, or the sheer talent that I see every time I walk through our buildings. I am Dr. Xanthi Karamanos, proud superintendent of Leonia Public Schools, and this is Leading Leonia. This podcast gives an authentic look at the people who drive this community forward. Our students who will change the world, our staff who are building the environments they learn in, and the community who's working right alongside us. We're here to show you the real work, the honest, the innovative, and the sometimes surprising work that it takes to build a school community we can all be proud of. All right, welcome back to the next episode of our podcast here in Leonia. Today I have a very special guest, Mr. Kerry Dunn. Mr. Dunn was, when I had my previous podcast guest on, he named you the jewel of Leonia. Seven Lord was here, and I always ask at the end, which you'll get to answer too. Who would you recommend for the next guest to be? And he said, without hesitation, he said, Mr. Dunn, he's the jewel of Leonia. So I have the jewel. I am honored to have the jewel of Leonia here today, and we're excited to have you. We'll talk through a little bit about Mr. Dunn, and then just what he does here, and when we'll see where the conversation takes us.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, we're so happy to have you. And we have, as always, we have our producer here, Miguel, and we have our two student externs who are Mr. Dunn's externs that are here. They are helping, watching, giving us feedback, giving us cues.
Audrey and Andrew.
Audrey and Andrew, we're happy to have you here too. All right, so Mr. Dunn, let's kick it off. Tell us who you are. Tell the audience who you are, as if they don't know, they might not know who you are. We might be talking to people that haven't been in our schools yet. So tell us a little bit about who you are.
I am lifelong Leonia resident Kerry Dunn here at the high school. I am the advocate for the Music Academy. I teach all the conducting classes. I conduct all of our choirs. And I teach the piano proficiency class, which is part of the Music Academy. And new this year, we have an introduction to piano for anyone in the school who wants to play piano.
So tell us a little bit about what the Music Academy actually is. What does that mean when you say Music Academy?
The Music Academy is one of our academies at the high school. It's our 7th year. Students who enroll in the academy have a very rigorous training, and they follow each year as cohorts. So their first year, they have to take one of our ensembles, either chorus, orchestra, or band. Mm-hmm. The second year, they take piano proficiency, which we modeled after a college piano proficiency course for music majors. So it's quite a difficult course. And the third year, they take conservatory music theory with Mr. Penn. Mm-hmm. And senior year, they take AP music theory, also with Mr. Penn. And then senior year, they will go on a Friday externship where they go outside of the building. One student, Max, is working with a recording producer.
Oh, cool.
Sometimes people go to the middle school and work with Ms. Cosmic, or to the elementary school to see what it's like to be a elementary school or middle school music teacher. And
right.
In the case of Audrey and Andrew here, they follow me, and I create an externship for them here at the high school. And in fact, Audrey is going to conduct one of our pieces on the music trip. So
cool.
There's an opportunity for our academy students to learn conducting as well.
That's great. It's really great that we have, and one of the things I'm most proud of here in Leonia is our music and art program. You have a lot of districts that's often, sometimes people don't invest money into. But I'm really proud of the work that you guys do, and just like the trips. Talk a little bit about the trips. For the audience, I'm always excited to when you come back from the trips, because you come back with a lot more than you go with. Right? You got a lot more hardware when you come back.
Yes, we do. I'm extremely proud of our kids and the music trips. I believe ever since the pandemic, we have won the top prize, which is the festival sweepstakes. That would be the school with the highest scores that have a band, orchestra, and choirs participating. And we've won that about 4 or 5 music trips running now.
Yeah.
We often have the highest rated choir. We often win first place in the choral sweepstakes, which is the highest rated choirs. We're going to Williamsburg this year. The last time we went to Williamsburg, there were about 8 total trophies. We took 7 of them, and we took about 6 out of the 8 Maestro Awards. Maestro Awards are special awards given to individual students who do a solo, sing a solo, play an accompaniment, or play an instrument. So we're really proud of sort of dominating every time we go.
Yeah. I love when I get the video. Mr. Calendar always sends me a video and it's like, winner, first place, Leonia High School, first place, Leonia High School, I just like, every time I just play it on repeat. I'm like, it's amazing. It's amazing. I'm so fortunate to work in a district that has such a strong music and art program.
I'm fortunate too.
Yeah. So, thinking about when you started teaching, right, when you were getting into the profession, when did you decide, at what point in your life did you decide, I want to be a teacher?
When I was young, when I was a boy, 7 or 8 years old, taking piano lessons with a woman named Stella Pola on Orden Avenue, right across the street here. Mm-hmm. I loved my piano teacher. I loved playing the piano. And I always remember adults complaining about their boss, complaining about their job. Mm-hmm. And I thought, Miss Pola doesn't have a boss. She's her own boss. Yep. And she would do these monthly recitals and give us cookies and punch and would teach us about a composer. And then we would take turns playing for each other. And I thought, she seems very happy. And she's never complaining about her boss. I thought, I'd like to be a piano teacher. Yeah. And then I went to music school, to college, Crane School of Music in SUNY Potsdam. Mm-hmm. And I was originally a music ed major, and I decided I had no interest in teaching classroom music, so I switched majors to music studies. I thought maybe I would teach piano privately, but I really had no interest whatsoever in teaching at a school. Mm-hmm. Because I was an athlete, I played tennis in college. My tennis coach also taught yoga. Okay. So I thought, I'm going to take yoga because I like my coach. Right. And I really loved all the stretching. And then another girl that I knew who had actually gone to my high school, she said, well, if you love yoga, you should take dance class. Okay. And I thought, I never thought about that. And I walked over to the building where they teach dance, and I looked in the window, and there was a lot of girls and very few boys, and they were all wearing tights and leotards. And I said, yeah, I'm going to sign up for that. And so I joined dance class, and it came very quickly to me being an athlete. It was a combination of music and dance, which were the two things I loved. So in my 4 years of high school, I decided I don't want to be a teacher at all. I want to be a performer. Mm-hmm. And I spent 15 years of my life singing and dancing in music theater. I did 2 national tours.
Amazing.
And then I got married, and my wife hurt her back in her dance. She was a dancer also, and her career was pretty much over because she could no longer dance. She ruptured discs in her neck. Oh, wow. So I decided I need to do something else for a living. I can't keep going on the road and leaving her. Yeah. And I was working as all actors do. You work in a restaurant in between. You wait tables to make ends meet. Mm-hmm. And I started just telling some of the actors that work in restaurants, I said, if you want to try voice lessons, I'm teaching. Mm-hmm. And immediately I got about 7 students and started making a lot of money. And then the more students I got, the less waiting tables I did. Yeah. And then I had a full schedule, and I could no longer pursue anything but being a teacher. I took a part-time job at the Hudson School in Hoboken, New Jersey. Okay. And then the then choir director said to me, I don't really play piano, and we have a concert, and could you help me with rehearsal? Oh. So I went down, and some of the kids were singing their parts wrong. And I said, no, basses, your part goes like this. And I started playing it, teaching it to them. And they started sounding a lot better. And then after rehearsal, the teacher, he says, I'm retiring next year, and you'd be really good at this. I'm going to recommend you for the job. And so he recommended me for the job, and Miss Newman said, well, can you promise me that they'll perform more than twice in 3 years, which is what they've done? Yeah. I said, I promise, and I got them up to many performances a year. Wow. And then 2 of my private voice students were studying at a school in Jersey City called St. Dominic Academy. Okay. And they said, we're in a choir. Come see our choir. And I went, and they were amazing. Mm-hmm. And their director, Joseph Napoli, I befriended, and he became my mentor in all things choral. Oh, nice. And he said, you need to start going on trips. If you want to build your choral program, go on trips, because it'll really build the program. Right. So I started going on Heritage Festival music trips. Right. Wow. That's and then many years later, I took the job here at Leonia. Yeah. So, okay. So you had mentioned, you started the story saying that you were here in Leonia taking piano lessons, in the neighborhood. Yes. So you grew up in Leonia. Yes, I grew up in Leonia. We talked about it when I walked in. We moved to Leonia in 1962 because my father got a job as the superintendent of Leonia High School. Yeah, so your father was the
superintendent of the high school or the district?
Of the district.
Yeah.
Same job you have.
Yeah. That's
Yes,
great. So your dad and I were sitting in the same seats.
Yes, he had the wing, the wing that hits Fort Lee Road. He had that built on NSC Scott School.
Oh, okay.
It was one of his projects. He also, he always talked about, he presented to the board a way that the teachers in Leonia could have a better salary.
Okay.
And the board voted him down. He said he had done all the math and he was advocating for teachers to make more money, but the board voted him down. He also presented plans for a new high school, which got voted down. And several years later, it became completely necessary to build the present high school.
Yeah.
So,
How long was your dad? Do you know how long your dad was here?
he was here for a few years. Then he took some consulting work, and then he went on to be superintendent of Chappaqua School District.
Yeah.
And I ended up going to school. I left Leonia in junior year, and I went to Chappaqua High School. So my father was the superintendent of the school I was going to, which was kind of neat. And then I was also mentioning to you, his wife, Dr. Rita Dunn, and him wrote a book called Practical Approaches to Individualized Instruction. They were pioneers in the field of learning styles.
Yeah. Which I shared, like, as a student who, I have my master's and my doctorate in educational leadership, right? And as soon as you said it, I was like, oh my gosh, I have that book. I read that book. That's one of my books that has all of my, notes and tabs, and that's crazy. I would have never pieced that together if you didn't share that.
Yes, so you could say I have teaching in my blood.
Yeah.
My mother taught at Elizabeth Morrow School in Englewood here for decades.
Yeah.
She taught all 82 years old.
Wow.
And they gave her a chair for 35 years of service, and I sit in that chair when I teach piano lessons at my house. I sit in my mother's 35-year chair. It's special to me that I get to sit in that chair.
Yeah.
But I do have teaching in my blood, and even though I dropped out of music education at college, life doesn't always take you in the way you think you're going to go, but I am thrilled to be back as a teacher, that life ended up this way.
Yeah.
I remember when Dr. Bertolini said, you're going to be the head of a music academy, the board approved it. It was one of the happiest moments of my life, because at the time I was teaching elementary school here, and it wasn't for me. Some teachers love working with at that age group.
Absolutely.
I did not.
Yeah. Listen, everybody, and as an elementary school teacher, I feel the same way about high school, right? I love the high school kids, but I don't know if I could teach high school, So I think everybody fits where they're supposed to, right? And things happen when they're supposed to, right? Like if you didn't have that experience in the choir and getting that mentor, right? Like what our programs, and would you be as the jewel of Leonia, if you didn't have that experience first. All right. So let's talk a little bit about, we're going to ask a little bit about the school and education and all of that. So, in a chorus or in a choir, you have dozens of different voices that you have to blend to create one beautiful sound, right? You have all these different voices you have to blend together, 125 voices to put together, right? As the leader, the educator, how do you teach the students to stop focusing on themselves and start thinking about the group?
That's sort of a basic of the art form. We have all different voices from all different cultures, and they're all different ages, because I have freshmen, sophomore, juniors, and seniors in my choir. But of course, blend and balance is critical. So one technique I use is I will have one of my more proficient students, I'll say, model this tone, and they'll sing that tone. Then I'll have the student next to them say, try to match that exactly. And I'll have the rest of the choir listen. And when it's sounding like you can only hear one voice, then everyone nods in agreement. I will often play a note on the piano. And if you look inside a piano string, if you play middle C, it's not one string, it's 3 strings. And they're tuned so identically, ideally in a tuned piano.
Yes.
They're the same length and thickness, and they're tuned identically, and they're made out of the same material and the same instrument. We hear it as one pitch. And I tell them, this is our goal. Like, I want you to sound like one voice, not a whole bunch of different voices. Oftentimes, you will have someone who maybe they're in limelighters and they like to belt and have a big chesty voice sound, and they'll be sticking out. And of course, I have to pull that person, tell them back. But so we do a lot of work on listening to each other and blending and balancing. And it's one of the beautiful things about the choral art form is, when do kids from such diverse backgrounds try to all work as a team in creating and doing something with unity like that. So
absolutely. I mean, that's, I think, the premise of Leonia, right? Everybody here is so different, and we celebrate that, and we appreciate that. But then we work together, right? And like you nailed it, right? They all have their different backgrounds and their diverse voices, but then they come together. How long does that usually take, you think? Like how?
I work on it every day.
Every day.
Oh yeah,
every day.
Yes, I have.
Even now.
My last rehearsal, I was.
Yeah.
There were 4 girls in front of me.
Yeah.
I said, I can't hear you. You have to contribute.
Yeah.
Singing is such a personal thing. When you hear someone playing piano, you'll say, "Oh, you play piano beautifully." But when you hear someone singing, you say, "You have a beautiful voice." You don't say, "You sing beautifully." It's very personal. Everyone who plays the piano in the music room, if they press middle C, it's going to sound exactly the same. Everyone who sings that note will have a unique sound because their voices are unique. And again, one of the beautiful thing about choir is you can compare it to snowflakes. They're all individual. No 2 snowflakes look alike, but they end up being a unified pile of snow. So,
what's been your favorite performance over time? This could go back as long as you want it to go back.
Our trip to Nashville was really special last year.
Yeah.
And I had a student conductor, Evelyn who's now at Oberlin University as a music major, another one of our successes of our music program. I had her conduct a piece called Esto Les Digo on the trip. And for whatever reason, I didn't walk off the stage. I sat down next to my accompanist at the piano. It was an a cappella piece. And I just closed my eyes and listened. And they did so beautifully. It was so beautiful. I was so proud of them. And I was really just moved by how beautiful they were singing. And Evelyn got moved with the experience. It's nerve-wracking for a student to conduct on a trip. Audrey, in fact, is conducting this year on a trip. But it was just such a beautiful moment. And then I have my students do introductions on the trip. And Evelyn's turn to introduce was next. She couldn't compose herself. She had moved herself. She was so proud of what she had just done, what the group had just done, that she was literally crying all the way through her introduction. And that also was a special moment to me because I had been part of that. I had felt what was going on. It was one of those experiences that everyone feels it. Everyone knows it when it's happening. Yeah. And that was neat. And then on the trips, there are adjudicators. There's 3 adjudicators that listen to our performances. They are college music professors. They're doctorates in choral education. And this is their specialty. And they're used to working with college music majors. So it's easy for them to hear high school choirs and to criticize them and say, you need to work on this. Right. So I always use a lot of our Music Academy kids as soloists. I always have my officers introduce the pieces, which other schools don't do. Okay. And the adjudicator, after our final number, she came up. The adjudicator was in tears. Oh. We had moved her as well. And she said, would everyone who played an accompaniment, played a solo, sang a solo, gave a speech, would you all line up? And about 36 kids lined up. She said, in my 30 years of teaching, I've never seen this kind of leadership. And she was just bravo and in tears. And, you know, in years past, they'd come up and say, you know, you need to drop your jaws, you need to breathe deep, and they're working on fundamentals. But to go from getting criticized for fundamentals for adjudicator to say, wow, I've never heard anything like that in 35 years. That was a special moment. Yeah, that's amazing. All of it, from the leadership to the introducing, the fact that they introduce the pieces, like that's the opportunities you're giving kids. Like I'm blown away. So I played piano, but not at any level, right? I played piano when I was an elementary school student, on piano lessons every Wednesday, but I can't tell you how honored I feel to be in a district that just the music, that you have such a focus on music and that there's such a strong presence, because we know, right? Research shows that music, art, like kids need that outlet. And the fact that we can do that from an early age, from what, Miss Jufer, Mr. Babos are doing down at the elementary school with the musicals, and like, it's amazing. The fact that we can support that all the way up. That's one of the most proudest things that I feel about being here in Leonia. And I have been since I got here. It's absolutely amazing. And I love that about this district, that it supports music education. As you know, many schools, that's the first thing to get cut is the music and the arts, as if that's not important. Right. As if, right, exactly. Like that's often cut because it's not your core academics, but it's just as important as everything else. And it's necessary for the children, especially at a young age. So that's a great story. I'm happy you shared that. I'm happy I asked that question off the cuff. That wasn't on the list, but I'm happy I asked. I have another happy moment. Yes, tell me. I love happy moments. Someone in this room. Yes. So Audrey has, I created in school externship for her. Now, both Audrey and Andrew are good at piano. So I have these piano classes with 21 kids and 16 kids each. I can't sit with 21 kids in any one lesson. In fact, it takes me almost 2 weeks to cycle through everyone.
Right.
So when I have piano on Fridays, I have them come and teach.
Smart.
Audrey developed a fondness for two of my students who she likes to work with, and she really discovered that she loves teaching music.
Okay.
And during the course of the year, she decided she wanted to become a music teacher.
Oh.
So we picked some pieces for her to learn for her music school auditions, and I coached her on them. And she went to Mason Gross School of Music, which is part of Rutgers, where Mr. Holak got his education and Ms. Cosmic got her education. It's a very fine music school.
Yep.
And she thought her audition went well, but she had to wait on pins and needles.
Yeah.
And yesterday, and she's kind of been moping around for a couple of days because she's very busy. She's doing the lead in the Addams Family, and she's an excellent scholar, and she does the music academy, and she's the president of the chamber choir. She's one of the busiest individuals I know, and she handles it all well. And she helps me so much with all of my work. One of the things she always says to me at the end of the day, is there anything else I can do for you? So she's just great. So I was really, I knew what she was doing vocally, and I thought she was going to get in, but yesterday she's bursting at the seams at my door, and she's jumping up and down. I'm like, what? She goes, I got into Mason Gross. And 10 minutes later, she was still out in the hallway dancing. She couldn't stop her feet from moving.
That's so exciting.
So for me to have put her in that direction and that she might be a music teacher someday is really rewarding to me. Eunice Park, who graduated 2 years ago, is also at Mason Gross studying music. And I tell them both, I said, I hope one day that I get to compete against you on a music trip.
Yeah.
Just like I did with Mr. Napoli, student
We want
mentor.
them here.
Huh?
We want them here in Leonia.
Well, maybe when I retire, you can.
Yeah. And we love that. No, I mean, there's also something special too about coming back to where you kind of got that education, right? Like, and you kind of did, right?
Yes, I did.
You were here up until junior year, and then you came back. So thinking about like coming back to Leonia and being at Leonia High School and just Leonia, if there was a piece of music or a song or piece of music that would represent Leonia, what do you think it would be?
That's a good question.
Turning to the externs for backup.
You have an opinion on this? Huh? Oh, The Awakening. Yeah, we did a song. In fact, the song that made the judge cry was called The Awakening.
Okay.
And the lyrics at the end of it are, The Awakening is about a nightmare where the narrator of the song, which is the choir, can't hear music anymore.
Oh, okay.
No more hallelujahs, no more choirs.
Oh, I remember.
They can't hear music. And then there's a little bell in the song, and they sing, awake, awake, and they wake from the nightmare, and then they start singing, very rejoicing, let music never die in me, let music always live in me. And the adjudicator came up and read those lines, and she said, you represent this. So yes, if that would be a song. Thank you for reminding me.
Brought me to tears.
That would
really that's a good moment. That's
It was quite a good moment.
Yeah.
And another good moment on this trip was Kayla Wang, who's this phenomenal piano player. She was a freshman playing a lot of very difficult accompaniments for me. After one of our performances, because we do a lot. The women's choir perform, and then we have a break, and then the men's choir will perform. We have a break, and then the chamber choir. So after one of her performances, we're in the break, and she's crying, and I'm like, "What's the matter?" She goes, "I messed up. I made a mistake. It's going to hurt our chances." Long story short, she went on to win a Maestro Award for accompaniment. Obviously, the judge didn't hear the mistake either. I said, you played thousands of notes. I'm sure it's okay to miss one of them.
Yeah.
And her playing is fantastic. She's rock solid. And so she won it. And it's not always easy for an accompanist to win a vocal award. Essentially, they're giving them out to vocal soloists. So you've got to be a really good accompanist to get that kind of recognition.
Yeah.
So that was fun because, like I said, she was in tears, beating herself up over whatever mistake she thought she made.
Yeah.
But obviously the adjudicators thought her playing was kind of special.
So how do you manage that though, right? Like there's a lot of pressure on our students, right? And a lot of times they put pressure on themselves to be perfect and to make sure everything is perfect, whether it's in the music or, on a test, whatever it is. How do you manage that in terms of making sure that they're learning and growing from those mistakes, but also, like keeping them at a high caliber, but also not alleviating some of that stress that they put on themselves about being perfect?
I I don't know if I'm trying to alleviate the stress. I think
Okay.
I think the stress. One of the reasons I started a recital program for the academy students is, and I remember from my own work, and maybe you did recitals when you played.
Mm-hmm.
You probably practiced a lot harder
Yes.
when you knew you were playing in front of an audience.
Yes.
That really made you. So when I
Yeah.
give someone like Kayla an accompaniment
Mm-hmm.
and say you're going to play it on the music trip, mind you, most schools don't use students; they use
Mm-hmm.
the teacher to play.
Mm-hmm.
They will not trust a student to jeopardize, because if the piano player messes up,
Right.
the whole choir is going to mess up.
Right.
So I'm giving them that pressure opportunity on purpose
Yeah.
because it's an opportunity for growth.
Yeah.
Plants that are stressed when they're young grow into stronger plants. I don't necessarily love the common trend of giving everyone a trophy for participating.
right.
I think stress is good for one's.
Yeah. No, I think I don't disagree with you, right? Like there is a need for stress, right? You do have to have performances, and you do have to put a little bit of that, expectation out there. But thinking about like our kids, and I think the what you do is that you give them multiple opportunities, right? I go to a concert. December is pretty much all concerts in this district, which I love. And then we have January, and then we have one in April. You have your music trip concert. So you give them all of these opportunities to be stressed in those moments, which helps when it comes to the big show.
Yes.
So I think that's, like I agree with you. I don't like to give everybody a trophy. I think there does need to be some level of competition and opportunity, and so I do agree with that.
But I do tell them, I believe in you. I wouldn't
exactly.
have chosen you to do this if I didn't think you could do
Correct.
it.
I'm not going to put you in front of a stage because I need to put someone there, right? You select them because they've earned that opportunity and you believe in them.
And it dovetails nicely into the music academy because we have so many fine musicians in the academy, and I want every opportunity to feature them as much as I can.
Yeah.
This year's academy class, the current 8th grade is as chock full of good musicians as I've ever seen. We had the best set of academy auditions. It was the most competitive.
Wow.
About 22 kids applied. We only took 11.
Oh, wow.
And they're all, the ones we took are just unbelievably talented.
Wow.
So the academy, again, post-pandemic, is back to full force and really going strong.
Yeah.
And you see that in our results.
Yeah. What so you had 22 students apply, you took 11. What happens to the other group of students?
They can still participate in virtually everything.
Okay. That's good.
They can still join chorus or band or orchestra.
Okay.
While they can't take the piano proficiency course, they can't take the intro to piano course.
Okay.
They can still take the music theory classes. So there's every opportunity for them to be as involved in music as they want to be. But we are trying to make the academy special, as all the academies do.
Absolutely, yeah.
Because they should be a cut above to be in that situation. But they have every opportunity to do every kind of music, go on the music trips.
Absolutely.
Become officers, become soloists.
Yeah.
When you see our programs, most of our soloists are music academy. I put an asterisk noting that, but sometimes there are kids who are not that deserve a solo, and I won't not let them have a solo just because they're not in the music academy. So every opportunity is available to them.
Yeah, and I love that you still give them opportunities, right? Like just because they don't make the cut, right, or make the top 11, they still have the opportunity to explore music and to enjoy that music in other ways, right? They don't get, they're not technically in the academy, but they still have access, and that's important, especially for the kids that don't know what they want to do, and they may not have even tried for the academy, but they still have access to music. And that could grow. So good. So when we go to the concerts, right? When we go to the winter and spring concerts, they're very polished, right? Everybody's perfect. Everything looks amazing. But we don't see the months of planning and preparation and, just getting ready for and the grueling rehearsals. What does that look like? What's the behind the scenes of that? How does your year kind of play out when you're planning, when you're getting ready to kind of get to a concert? What is that behind the scenes? Give our listeners an inside look into the behind the scenes of the concert prep.
In the first week of school every year, I create an audition schedule for all our select choirs. And what I've started doing recently is offering extra help sessions. And it's been very successful. It's why part of the reason my numbers are growing, because I would meet kids that would come and they'd sing, and I like, why didn't you go to my audition? Why didn't you have a great voice? Why didn't you come? They're like, oh, I didn't know about it, or I was too busy, or I wasn't sure about the audition. I thought, all right, I'm missing some people that should be here. I want to find them all. So by doing these extra help sessions, I do them for a week. I go over the audition, and so that's the beginning of all of it. I also use the vocal solo that they use for the Bergen County Honor Choir audition, which is Sicut Locutus Est by Johannes Bach. I teach that, and I use it for my auditions.
Okay.
In October, the Bergen County Honor Choir auditions happen.
Yep.
And they already know the solo.
Yep. That's great.
So that helps. It helps my program to have kids go to these honor choirs because they have to learn 6 songs and 4 rehearsals and sing them from memory in a week. And they're with other very high-level students, and so they're really under a situation where they have to learn quickly at an accelerated level. Yeah. They literally come back better students.
That's great.
And then another thing I started doing was I used to say, oh, the Bergen County auditions are coming up. You need to go home and register. I bring my computer out in rehearsal and I say, you can register now. And then they see each other doing it.
Yeah.
And I don't want to say monkey see, monkey do, but there's a little of that to it.
Yeah.
So I keep having more and more kids register for Bergen County. 2 years ago, we got 28 kids into the county choir, which is the most of any school out of over 20-something schools that apply. Yeah. Leonia now keeps having the most kids getting in.
Love that.
This year, we've never had more than 6 kids go to All-State, and I've probably never had more than 8 or 9 audition. There are 21 kids signed up to audition for All-State this year.
Amazing.
So again, all of this feeds into making the program better.
Absolutely.
We have a student officer program which I inherited when I got here my first year. 2 of my students who actually helped me get the job, they said, "Oh, there's student officers, and we pick the new officers because we know who would make the best leaders." I thought, oh, that's kind of neat. Instead of me picking the students pick the officers. Yeah. So we used to have a president and a vice president, but now we do co-presidents rather than having one be more important than the other. Yeah. The great thing about the student officers is when I'm in a rehearsal, I'm really focused on the music, looking at the parts, teaching it. I can't really watch the behavior of the group.
Yeah.
So my officers, that becomes part of their job is to be disciplinarians. Yeah. And sometimes the kids don't like it because if there's 2 kids talking, she'll say, you need to move, and not sit there and like, oh, you're being so mean. This isn't fun. I can't sit next to my friend. Yeah. But so it's like good cop, bad cop. Yeah. I focus on the music. They focus on discipline. They will also email, say, you've missed rehearsals. You're going to go on probation. You're going to get kicked out. So I kind of give them that sort of disciplinary aspect of it because they have ownership in the group too. They want the group to succeed as well.
Right.
Sometimes they get a little bristle and brush back from it, but that's okay. They'll survive.
Yeah. Listen, classroom management, right? You're starting them young with classroom management. That's great. All right. So we have a few minutes left. So thinking about Leonia and Leonia High School, what would you want to see more of in our schools?
Well, we've talked about this for many years.
Yes.
Our theater isn't adequate in so many ways.
I 100%, when we've talked about this, I 100% agree with you, but tell it for the audience.
Well, we did a medley from Les Miserables a couple years ago, which had a lot of student solos, and all the mics started cracking and popping, and it really ruined something that we had worked very hard on, very proud of. The Limelighters has been struggling with miking for years. We have a light board that I think comes from my father's days here. That's antique. We don't have enough lighting equipment, so the lighting, the sound, it's a funky configuration. Our theater, it's not really a proscenium or a theater in the round. It's a hybrid of both.
Yeah.
And now that, as you know, my choir got so big I couldn't fit them on the stairs, so we're carting the risers over from the middle school.
Yep.
Which once I saw that, I was like, we have to have that.
Yes.
And of course, another $20,000 for you to find.
Yeah.
But yes, I wish we had a nice set of risers. I wish we had some professional mics. I wish we had new seats in the theater. I wish we had some acoustic paneling. I wish we had, and I know you've been working on this.
100%. I wish we had all of that too. I really do. I say it every time I go to a concert or even just anything that the kids are in and you just hear that crackle or you hear the mic go in and out. I'm like, this is embarrassing, right? How can we have
and they're poorly lit too.
Right. How can we have such an amazing talent in this district and we can't give them the right mics or the lighting is off or, it's So we've been working on it, and I'm meeting with Grace and Susie from Leonia Makes Music.
Okay.
So, for our listeners out there, I hope by the time this episode comes out, Leonia Makes Music is starting to pick up again, to help kind of maybe figure out how we can make that work and how we can, improve all of that. You're absolutely right. Your dad is probably the one that signed off on that lighting and soundboard that we have there. That's how old it is. And everybody that walks in says it, like, how are we preparing our kids for, especially like our limelighters, like the limelighters booth kids, the ones that work the booth, like they want to go into that tech field, that music tech field. How are we preparing them with that type of equipment? So I'm glad that you brought that up for our, because we've talked about it a lot, but
yes.
I think it's important for people to know that that's something of focus and something that we acknowledge we need to fix.
And I'm assuming the Board of Education is on board with this?
Yeah, it's been part of our conversations, part of, listen, it's a school district. So there's a lot of things that we need to kind of figure out. Right. And, improve. And we have a lot of outdated stuff that we have to kind of fix. But I think we're at a time too, where there's creative ways to do it. Right. We're not, there's different ways that we can go about it. That doesn't necessarily have to be like a, something big to the taxpayers or anything, right? Yeah. So we're right now at the place where we're trying to figure that out, and that's why Leonia Music is going to be helpful and hopefully help us push it along a little faster than I could probably do myself. So, So now on the opposite side, what would you like to see less of?
Cell phones.
I love that. Yes, I agree. 100%.
And I can't wait for next year.
Yeah, I know.
And I say, put your phones away. You have to practice for next year.
Yes.
You have to get ready.
Yeah. Get ready for next year. Yeah. No, I think we can all agree on that too. The cell phones are out of control. But next year will be hopefully, we're thankful for Governor Murphy to like kind of force us all, right? Force everyone to do it. Because then when it comes from above, it's not necessarily we're the bad guys, right? Somebody else is the bad guy. And,
I've been teaching here long enough that went from no phones to flip phones to now everyone has a phone. And I remember when Twitter came out, I said, why are you using your phone? He said, I got a tweet. I have to answer it. It's like, how could I ignore a tweet? So now sometimes in all my rehearsals at night, I have my officers collect the phones. I say we put all the phones on the wall. It's like, and I tell them at the audition, I was like, are you going to be able to live without your phone for an hour and a half to 2 hours at rehearsal? If not, you're in the wrong place because I don't want to deal with it.
Yeah. Good for you.
It's a distraction to them, and I think it creates more anxiety for them, even though they're not happy about losing their phones.
Yeah.
Everywhere where this has been done, the kids complain at first, and then a few months later they say, "Oh, I'm engaging more with my fellow students, and I'm getting bullied less, and I'm learning more, and the grades test scores are going up." And I said it's coming, and a lot of people say, they'll never do that in New Jersey, but it's coming.
They sure did.
So that's what I'd like to see less of.
Yeah, good. Glad we're on the same page with that. All right, so I have two final questions for you. So, who should we have next on the podcast?
I have two wonderful colleagues, Mr. Penn, Mr. Holak would be great. Of course, they're also in the music if you want someone else. I remember when I was my first year here and I had to observe teachers teaching, I asked some of my students, who should I observe? And they said, Tim Cullen. Okay. And I went to observe him, and he's a wonderful teacher. Yeah. So, and now he's my supervisor, supervises many departments. Yes. And he's a tennis coach, which appeals to me as a tennis player. So I think he would be a very interesting person to talk to. He's been here for longer than I have. Yes. Maybe longer than any other teacher, right? Yeah. Mr. Frank, who retired, was here for decades. Did you know Mr. Frank?
I don't think so, no.
He had been my teacher in high school when I was here.
Okay, yeah.
And he was still here when I got here as an adult. So, but I would recommend Mr. Cullen.
Absolutely. Yep, we'll put him on. Miguel, he's next, right? All right. Miguel's my coordinator of guests as the producer. All right, so I have one final question for you. Like many projects, right? This particular project started on my whiteboard. It had a little star next to it, and Miguel and I, when Miguel first started as my extern, I walked him in and I said, Miguel, here's the list of projects, like big projects that I want to work on this year. Pick which one you want. And we picked podcasts, and here we are. And Miguel really put this together. So, this started as a star on my whiteboard. What is your star on your whiteboard right now? What's the next big dream that you're chasing?
Well, I've already mentioned a better facility, a better theater.
Yes.
That would be the biggest thing. as long as I've been doing this, I'm very passionate about it, and I always want to get better. And because of the internet and videos and reels on YouTube, now I'm following famous conductors and getting tips from them. And I'm like, wow, I'd never thought of it. I did one in class today where I watched a conductor. I use Kerwin hand symbols to sing solfege syllables. And he said, try having half your choir follow one hand and half your choir follow the other hand. And you can do dissonances. And if they can do that in the piece, they can do it when it's in literature. And I did it this morning, and it worked great. It was very, very neat. So it's my goal to always get better, to always get more people into every year. I like at Bergen County, I said, our record is 28. If you get 29 in, I'm buying you all pizza for dinner. So it's always my goal to somehow find a way to be better than I was the year before. Education is not a final destination. It's a journey of a lifetime. Like you said, how do I get them to blend? It's something I work on every day. How can I get them to be better? It's something I work on every day, including now I'm following other choir directors from all over the world due to the internet, and it's a wonderful thing. So
have you ever thought about sharing your skills, like you posting, and maybe that's something an extern can do, because I think the skills that you have can help younger generations that are getting ready to be music teachers or, in that world. Like, I mean, you guys, you do amazing work. We've talked, this whole podcast is about the amazing work that happens in our music academy. I think it would be great. Like, I don't know if you ever thought about it, but I
have a little. I don't necessarily want to do that, but that's a thing. I'm happy to bring it here. Well,
think about it. You could help the next generation, right? Pass on those skills, right?
Yes.
Well, thank you so much. Any final thoughts? Anything you want to share? Anything we did not touch on that you want to touch on?
Did we mention my father?
We did.
Oh, at the beginning.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. We have the yearbook here too. We have all the yearbooks here, but we have the yearbook here. It's crazy. He was sitting. Well, I don't know if this was the board office, but
no, this was not the board office. The high school was at the middle school. At the time. There was no high school. Well, that was the high school. It was and I believe they started 8th grade in that building, and they went up to 7th grade at Anna C. Scott building. Of course, we outgrew it. So,
well, thank you for being here. Thank you for taking the time out of your day. We appreciate it. I appreciate it. And we'll catch you next time.
Thanks so much.